The Goto revolution is here. The Goto revolution is alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. What a main event. What a moment in pro wrestling. It's moments like these that remind us why we love the sport of pro wrestling. And that was just fantastic. It perfectly summed up what New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning in Osaka is all about. And it truly feels like a new beginning from top to bottom on this card. There are moments, there are victories that feel like a new beginning. But that main event with Hirooki Goto finally getting the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in his hands after 18 years after his first challenge for that title against Hiroshi Tanahashi, he finally did it. It's moments like these, ladies and gentlemen. It's moments like these. But let's get into the card. Let's start with the very first match where we had Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Togi Makabe. Yeah, I don't want to insult the man, but it's moments like these that remind me why Tanahashi is having his final run, why this is his last year. Basically, this was 250-olds having a little bit of a roll around in the ring with a bit of chops. Not really a great match whatsoever, but it's Tanahashi. He's a legend, and we respect him. This is Tanahashi's debut match revisited. So his very first match in New Japan was against Togi Makabe, which tells you everything about the age of both wrestlers here. It was a slower start, which turned into a chop battle before Makabe took control, sending Tanahashi to the outside, sending him from barricade to barricade, but that did not look good because, of course, Tanahashi's knees are wrecked, so him running between barricade and barricade, not a good look. But it's okay. It's Tanahashi. We respect him. Tanahashi made a short-lived comeback, but nothing too exciting. Tanahashi then landed some of the big hits. His blade runner. What's it called now? That move. He went for all of his big hits. Went for the frog splash, but missed the frog splash. A little bit after that frog splash, he went for the O'Connor roll onto Makabe, but it didn't work. They basically fell over on the O'Connor roll, and it didn't happen. And then they went back to it moments later, where Tanahashi got the victory over Makabe. Not good. Wasn't great. The action was fine, I guess, to a certain extent, but the botches at the end were not great. I think Tanahashi even tried to jump onto the top rope for the frog splash, and that just botched, so he eventually just climbed on normally. So yeah, 1.75 stars for that match. Unfortunately not great, but I'm here for every single match that we get from Tanahashi in his final run, in his final year. With that being said, let's move on to the second match. Shingo Takagi versus Drilla Moloney, and I am all here for a Drilla Moloney heavyweight division push, and that looks like what he's getting. Honestly, I'm surprised. I am surprised that Drilla Moloney got the victory over Shingo Takagi. And you guys know, if you guys don't know, I'm telling you now, Shingo Takagi is one of my favorite wrestlers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I do think his matches are getting a bit repetitive lately, if that's the word, but he's still one of my favorites, and I'm not going to deny that or take that away from him. But this was a huge match for Drilla Moloney. And let's not forget, New Beginning in Osaka is typically a Bullet Club pay-per-view. This is where the Bullet Club guys come to shine. Remember last year we had United Empire taking on the Bullet Club, where the Bullet Club War Dogs showed that they are here to stay when they beat the United Empire, and then Will Ospreay left to AEW. And this year, no different. There's a whole bunch of Bullet Club members on the card. We even had Clark Connors on commentary, which I enjoyed throughout the night, by the way. I don't know if anyone else did, but I enjoyed it. That was the English commentary, of course. So yeah, a little bit of a lackluster strike exchange in the beginning, but once that's over, they go back and forth with some much quicker action, and that I started to really enjoy. Takagi fires up, but takes his time, which allows Drilla Moloney to just kick him in the head. I love that. No nonsense, just straight action. They then exchange suplexes and clotheslines until Drilla Moloney finally lands a spinebuster onto Shingo Takagi. And then in typical War Dogs fashion, they go outside and fight on the outside in the crowd. I mean, what's a War Dogs match without one of them going to the crowd? Shingo Takagi then lands his jab, chop, lariat combo, which I love because it always looks so good. Before landing a superplex onto Drilla Moloney that looked fantastic. That was for a near fall. Drilla Moloney then lands Made in Japan, Shingo Takagi's finisher, of course, and Shingo kicks out at 2.99. And when I tell you it was close, it was damn close. Takagi then lands Made in Japan of his own, but Drilla surprisingly kicks out, because when Takagi landed that finisher, I thought it was done. But Drilla kicked out. Drilla then lifts Takagi and lands an awesome looking Drilla killer, like he deadlifted him up, tossed him around. Drilla killer gets the surprising win over Shingo Takagi. Like I mentioned, this was not on my bingo card, but I am all for it. I'm glad he did. I popped when that happened. I was super happy for Drilla Moloney. Good match as well. Really good, exciting match. Maybe if it went on a bit longer, would have got a little bit of a higher rating. But 3.75 stars, nothing to be ashamed about. That's a really good rating for a really good match. I enjoyed it. We then had the Great Khan and Shota Umino, who have been going back and forth. And Shota Umino obviously been struggling, getting booed, especially in Osaka. And Great Khan basically was telling him to go back to his young lion style. Shave your head, put on the black trunks. I think it was more of an insult more than anything, but that's what he has done. The match was okay. You're never going to have a 5-star banger with Great Khan. And Shota Umino, quite frankly, is lacking something right now. But the match was okay. Shota then attacks Okan before the bell rings, and the crowd just boos. So it's like he's kind of playing up to these heel characters or these heel traits, but then he doesn't shortly after. So he's like stuck in the middle, which I suppose is within story. Umino coming with a different level of aggression to normal, which I loved, but that didn't help in the long run. Khan lands an exploder suplex into the barricade on the ramps, breaking the barricade, and that was a pretty nasty bump, but then he begins to dominate the match. Umino continues to make comebacks over and over, tries to hype up the crowd, but just gets boos and more boos. Khan then goes for his chokeslam finisher, but Shota reverses it into a nice looking DDT. I really, really like that spot. Death Rider by Umino, but Khan kicks out. Great Khan with repeated strikes to the back of Umino's head, kind of like Ospreay did, I think, to... Was it Umino? No, wasn't it to... It might have been Umino as well, but I'm pretty sure it was to Ibushi as well. But... And then the ref nearly calls it after that, but he doesn't. And then Khan eventually lands his reverse STO and the Eliminator, which is his chokeslam, for the win over Shota Umino. The surprising win. I thought Shota was going to somehow steal the win still, but no. The story with him continues. So much, in fact, that post-match, Great Khan grabs a blade to cut his hair, to cut Shota's hair, even though this wasn't a hair versus hair match. But he stops. Shota grabs it. He stops him. And Shota Umino shaves his hair himself. So is this a bit of a change of character for Shota Umino? I'm excited to see. I gave that match 3 stars. Slightly underwhelming. 3 stars might be a bit high for it as well. But it serves its purpose. We then had Taichi versus Sanada. And I was looking forward to this because Taichi for me is one of those underrated guys that we don't see enough of him sometimes. But when we see him, he puts on a good match. But I was disappointed here. Something about the psychology of this match just did not work. And it's weird because there's so much heat and tension between these two. But it just did not work. And there was too much heel tactics from Taichi when Sanada's the heel. So when Sanada does heel work, it's like, okay, but you were also doing it, Taichi. So it kind of just diminished that whole situation and diminished what Taichi is trying to do. Or what Sanada is trying to do and establish himself as the proper heel since he's joined the Bullet Club War Dogs, which, yeah, I've been following the in-between the shows, but not to that extent. I completely forgot he joined the Bullet Club War Dogs. Like, I knew it happened, but I forgot. And when he came out, I was like, what? Oh, yeah. So, like, early on, Taichi uses a chair on Sanada while the ref is down. Sanada's the heel. There's some back and forth action between both men, but neither man is really dominating, so no heat could be built on to Taichi in any way. Sanada uses the ref to stop Taichi from picking up for a suplex. That happens multiple times. Sanada then lands a moonsault, but only gets a 2 count. Taichi lands a low blow of his own, and then a huge lariat followed by a side suplex for a near fall. Another low blow by Sanada this time, and gets his DDT finisher and gets the win. There was 3 or 4 low blows. Not my favorite. 2.5 stars for this match. There was a post-match beatdown between Taichi and, of course, some of the Bullet Club guys. I think Ishimori was there to beat down on Taichi, sorry. And then Yuya Imura made his comeback and he took out the Bullet Club War Dogs guys. So I assume we're going to get Yuya Imura versus Sanada in the long run, which I'm here for. The crowd popped like crazy when he came back. 2.5 stars for that match. Let's move on. We then had TMDK, or what do they call themselves? Sweet Lover Boys or something? I don't know. Ichiban Sweet Boys, I think it is. Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles taking on Ropongi ReVce, which is Rocky Romero and Yo, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships, which is held by the TMDK boys. This was an enjoyable match, enjoyable junior tag team match. It embodied what a junior tag team match should be. A lot going on here. To do play-by-play is like practically impossible for these matches. But let's just say Rocky Romero and Robbie Eagles start off the match. There was an attempt at a double submission by TMDK, but Rocky Romero kicked Robbie Eagles into Fujita and Yo. There was, let me see what else is here. There was a double Hurricane Rana by Rocky Romero, which he follows up with his corner clotheslines to both men. You know, he runs back and forth and back and forth. TMDK lands Sweet Buster, but Yo breaks up the pin. Then Robbie Eagles had like a huge dive to the outside, got his leg caught in the barricade, looked nasty, looked like he really hurt his ankle, but it was just great selling because as Fujita is trying to land a German suplex and can't quite get it, Robbie Eagles comes in Insuguri, helps Fujita land the German suplex, and they get, no, that doesn't get the win, that's a 2 counts, which I think I would have preferred the finish to be there. Anyway, Fujita then lands a lifted cutter for the victory. Really fun junior tag match, like I said, 3.25 stars. Maybe could have been a bit better, but still a really good match. I mean, I can't complain. It was fun. We then move on to Konosuke Takeshita versus Oleg Boltin for the Never Openweight Championship. Now, I've been keeping my eye on Oleg Boltin, and he's always excited me when it comes to these tag matches that they have. But in a singles match against the likes of Konosuke Takeshita, this is where he really needed to shine. And let me tell you right now, he shined. He really did shine, ladies and gentlemen. He had the power that just overpowered Takeshita the whole match, and Takeshita needed to use his power mixed with his striking to actually overcome Oleg Boltin. So yeah, they start off with some shoulder barges, which Oleg Boltin shows his power and wins that exchange. Takeshita sends Oleg Boltin into the ring post and onto his shoulder, and then begins targeting that shoulder the entire match to subdue the power that is Oleg Boltin. But it doesn't quite work. Oleg Boltin tries to fight back, but Takeshita then lands a huge flying clothesline, and then a huge superplex by Takeshita off the top rope, which looked absolutely amazing because there was like a moment of hesitation or like a moment of struggle to get him over, and I thought, ooh, and then he landed it, and it just looked so good. The ring bounced like crazy. The ref was in the air. Amazing superplex. And it's, those simple things sometimes are just great. Oleg Boltin then fights back with a power slam and a splash, but Takeshita kicks out. Oleg then lands a gut wrench suplex, but before he lands it, he does that thing where he swaps from side to side to side. Really good stuff, but doesn't get the pinfall. Takeshita then lands a Blue Thunder Bomb. You gotta say it loud when it happens. For a 2.99, but he doesn't quite get the pin there, like I mentioned. Back and forth strikes from Oleg, puts Takeshita on his ass, but Takeshita comes back with this huge, aggressive elbow strike, putting Oleg Boltin to the mat. And then fantastic stuff. But Takeshita falls on Oleg after that strike, and Oleg deadlifts him up and rolls with him in a fireman's carry position into a near fall. Just his fight and his power was the main thing. It was so awesome. Takeshita then locked in a guillotine, which Oleg tries to power out of, but can't quite do it. The ref's checking on him, lifts his arm up, it drops, lifts his arm up again. If it drops this time, it's over. But Takeshita holds it. Takeshita doesn't want him to win that way. Instead, from the guillotine position, lifts him up into his finisher, which is a Falcon Arrow, but they call it Raging Fire is what they call it, and he retains his Never Openweight title. Oleg Boltin fits perfectly into this Never Openweight division. Perfectly. With that being said, a 4-star match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed just seeing the power of Oleg Boltin. He shined in this match, but he shined because Takeshita let him shine, which is fantastic. Like, without Takeshita, Oleg Boltin wouldn't look this good. Really good stuff. Let's see if he can continue that. We then move to the Young Bucks versus Lij. Lij obviously being Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. And I didn't enjoy this match. I'm not even going to do play-by-play because doing play-by-play for Young Bucks match is practically impossible. Basically, a lot of miscommunication by the Young Bucks. I don't know how many times they kicked each other, how many times they ran into each other, how many times they did the EVP trigger into each other's knees. I don't know how many times that happened throughout this match, but a lot. Secondly, Naito is basically just cruising along. He does not look good anymore. He does not look in shape. He does not look like he can go to the level he used to be. And it's disappointing because he's still a massive draw. So that means they have to put him high up on the card. I don't think that drawing power is going to last too much longer. Now, Hiromu Takahashi is finally a champion in the heavyweight division. Of course, it's the tag titles. But he showed up. He showed up in this match. And it was absolutely fantastic what he did. He was everywhere. He was taking on both the Young Bucks when Naito was taking a breather on the outside for 5 minutes. He was absolutely awesome. In the end, though, Naito landed Destino and they got the win. New champions. Like I said, Takahashi finally got his title. Lots of no-selling in this match, but a lot of bumps. So they were bumping. Just bump, move, bump, move, bump, move, bump, move. So it's not like they no-sold as in didn't show the effects of a punch, but it was move after move after move after move that there was no time to sell. That was my problem. There was no time to sell. But yeah, like I said, Hiromu Takahashi, star of this match, 2.75 stars. Let's move on to the co-main event. Yota Tsuji versus Gabe Kidd. Two of my favorites right now. I think everyone's my favorite, but realistically, that's Shingo, Yota Tsuji, Gabe Kidd, Zack Sabre Jr. Those guys that are my favorites. But this was incredible until the finish. This was absolutely incredible. And I'm not mad with what the finish was in terms of the outcome. I'm disappointed with how they carried out the finish. So let's do a little bit of play-by-play. Match starts with a basic collar and elbow tie-up. I was like, is this the first one we've seen? Might be. There might have been one for the junior tag match though. But there was no budge between these two, and it showed that they are pretty equal and that they are basically just... There's nothing between them two, nothing to split them. We then get chop and strike exchanges, but not without each strike being sold, which I appreciate. Now, there was a lot of striking exchanges in this match. A lot of just striking. They did not have a wrestling match. They had an all-out brawl, if I'm being honest with you guys. That's what they had. Some of the loudest chops I have ever heard in my life were in this match. One specific by Yota Tsuji dropped Gabe Kidd. I'm pretty sure that was a shoot. He did not drop out of selling it. He dropped as in he was in pain. Fantastic strike exchange again. Another one ending with Tsuji landing a super kick, sending Gabe to the mat. Tsuji then after that locks in a Boston Crab, and it looks like Gabe Kidd is going to tap. So close to tapping, but he finally makes it to the ropes. Tsuji then goes for a spear, but Gabe Kidd reverses it into an octopus stretch and then back into a back suplex. Great stuff. There was a Spanish fly off the top rope, but it was reversed by Gabe Kidd and he landed a clothesline off the top rope for a near fall. Tsuji then lands a powerbomb and a curb stomp, goes for the spear, but this time Gabe Kidd reverses the spear mid-spear into a pile driver. That was absolutely fantastic stuff. That popped me. That really popped me. Gabe Kidd then looks to he pulls his knee guard down and he's looking to hit a running knee onto Tsuji, but nope, it is reversed into a spear by Yota Tsuji. And the ref then after that begins counting both men for the count out or for the double draw. Spoiler alert, the match ended a double draw. He counted to 10, but I didn't like it because number one, he counted to, it was a double draw, but I didn't feel what they did was big enough for it to be a double draw. It was one spear by one person. Something was missing. Something was really missing. Secondly, Tsuji got up to his feet and then dropped. I didn't like the way he dropped. It looked too cartoonish. It looked way too cartoonish. What Gabe Kidd was doing was much better. He was struggling the whole time. He didn't get up to his feet. But I suppose they wanted to make the champion look a bit stronger. Anyway, the ref counted them both out. The draw was possibly the right choice because you don't want Gabe Kidd to lose after the momentum he's got. You don't want Tsuji to lose the titles. Fine with the draw. Just the way it was done was underwhelming. very underwhelming. Other than that, the action was absolutely fantastic. I'm still going to give this match a really high score because, quite frankly, the match was great. It was just the finish was just, it could have been higher. Could have been higher. With that being said, I'm giving the match 4.25 stars. Maybe a 4 stars on the cards though. Maybe a 4 stars on the cards. I'll come back to that in future, but between a 4 and a 4.25, I'm still going back and forth because of the finish. Post match, House of Torture attack both men, and we get the return of Evil and Dick Togo, and yeah, they just beat everybody up basically. I did not want to see Evil back, but of course he's back. We then move on to the main event, the Hirooki Goto Revolution. The Goto Revolution, will it come true? Will it see its fulfillment? Yes, it does. 18 years since his first title challenge against Tanahashi, and the crowd was firmly behind Goto. Someone who was a good hand in the division, but never really a guy to be seen as a world title holder. But now his time has came. His time has finally come. It always comes around. If you put their work in, it always comes around. Obviously, there's a story with him beyond that, as his father recently passed away. He took a bit of time from wrestling to deal with that, but he came back for the New Japan Cup. His family and kids were at ringside. They came in the ring after the match. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. What a moment. This was Kofi Mania. This was Daniel Bryan winning, and Bryan Danielson winning for that match, for that matter. AEW and WWE both times. This was just absolutely incredible. Well done, Hirooki Goto. I'm not going to claim to be a huge fan of him, but I understand and I respect him, and he deserves this. That's all I'm going to say. So, slower start to this match, but back and forth action from both sides. And this was a short main event, which I'm glad about. We do not need to go past the 30 mark for every main event. This was 20 minutes and 20 minutes of action. So Goto using his power and speed, but Zack Sabre Jr. obviously using his technical prowess to get the better of him. And he got the better of him for most of the match, which was perfect. Zack Sabre Jr. was probably the perfect person, simply because out of nowhere, pull some sort of technique and you've got Hirooki's title dreams just fading away in the submission, and the crowd just going behind him. But anyway, Goto lands an Ushigoroshi and changes the momentum of the match into his favor, but that doesn't last long as Zack Sabre Jr. then starts working the technical wrestling style. Feels like every time Hirooki Goto gets some offense, Zack Sabre Jr.'s style just gets the better of him once again. Zack Sabre Jr. lands a Zack driver early on out of nowhere, but can't get the pin, and the crowd still chants Hirooki after that. Crazy. As he's on the ground, both laying there, chanting Hirooki. Goto then lands a reverse GTR, which is his finisher, but immediately lands Zack then immediately lands another Zack driver, which Goto kicks out of. And straight after that, you know how Zack Sabre Jr. does it. He locks in his armbar straight away. And Zack Sabre Jr. locks in a deadly armbar with both arms behind the back. Looks like he's tapped out so many people with this. But Hirooki Goto refuses to quit and shifts to the ropes eventually. This is how you build an underdog in the match. This is how you do it. Absolutely fantastic. Zack Sabre Jr. then locks in a sleeper hold, which almost puts Hirooki Goto out, but he fights back and lands a huge lariat. Now, every time Hirooki looks like he's down and out, he fights back. That underdog spirit is there. That fighting spirit is there. They tease Goto's finisher over and over, but eventually he lands the GTR, and Zack Sabre Jr. kicks out, but Hirooki Goto gets up again, lands it one more time. I hate that. By the way, I hate that. Just finish it the first time. And he finally gets the win, and the crowd went crazy. Crazy for him. Well-deserved moment. Absolutely fantastic pro wrestling match. This was amazing. The moment was bigger than the match, but the match still delivered. 4.75 stars for this match. So close to being a 5-star match. Perhaps I didn't make it a 5-star match because I felt maybe they could have put in a bit more towards that final sequence where we think Zack Sabre Jr. is really, really going to win this. Other than that, it was fantastic. I loved it. Great stuff. The moment was absolutely great. Pro wrestling, man. This is what pro wrestling is about. With that being said, that is my review on New Beginning in Osaka 2025. Decent show, but it will be remembered for one thing, and that is the Goto Revolution.